but it won't be 4 grade, so it's up to you. The problems come right from the problems you're doing in my math lab anyways. Any questions? Chapter 6.3 and 6.4. 6.3 tells you about these two functions and you use them. And then 6.4 just adds why you would use them. So I usually teach it together. So difference quotient, that's just your rate of change. It's your slope. You're going from one point to another point. It's also the slope of the secant line. The main words you'll want to watch for are average rate of change between 2 points, and it could be average rate of change of the cost function, revenue, or profit. The derivative tells you how much it's changing at 1 point. So if we had a graph for the difference quotient, maybe we wanted to find out what's happening from here to here. It will tell us the slope. For the derivative, you use 1 point and it tells you how it's changing at that point. This is increasing, this would be decreasing. If we're at a min or max, it's horizontal. So the tangent line tells you what's happening, the slope of it, right at that point, where difference quotient tells you between 2 points how it's changing. Slope of tangent line, instantaneous rate of change, cost, revenue, and profit. So you're given one value to find where it's changing. I want to see 7. Any questions on that? Number 7. So it says find the average rate of change for each function over the given interval. Y equals e to the x between -2 and 0. So these are our two x values. We need to find the y values. Now on these ones, because you don't want to round until the very end, I usually plug it in all at once, where other ones where we get an exact value, I would not. Now, here's the formula. This is your A and this is B. So you could do f of 0 minus f of -2 over 0 minus -2. This would be e to the 0 minus e to the -2 over 2, because a negative and a negative makes that a +2. 0 plus 2 is 2. Now, if you enter this all at once, you do want to put it in parentheses. The exponential button is where your ln is. So I put a parenthesis and then I have e to the 0 minus e to the -2, and then I close that parenthesis before I divide it by 2. So everyone getting 0.432? Try number 8. So we're finding the natural log of x as we're going from 2 to 4. Natural log of 4 minus the natural log of 2 over 4 minus 2. If you do it in parts, that's fine. Just keep the whole decimal in your calculator. So everyone getting 0.34657. Any questions on that?
Can we just do ln of 2? Because like if you combine them, it's
Number
ln of 4 over 2.
So number 25. I usually put one on the test similar to this where it's a story problem. Now I wouldn't put all 4 parts. I'd put one where you're doing the rate of change and one where you're doing instantaneous change. We have p of x equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Find the average rate of change of profit for the following. So from 2 to 4. When it's a polynomial, I usually find my 2 points and then just use the slope. Whereas these, because there's so many decimals, I put it all in at once. But you could plug in the 4 and the 2 and subtract them. Plugging in 2, we get 2 times 2 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 6. 8 minus 10 plus 6. What are we getting for y? Anyone? We're getting 4. Two times 16 minus 20 plus 6. Any questions on finding the parts? So average rate of change is your slope, 18 minus 4 over 4 minus 2. Now we need to explain what that means, but is there any questions on getting the 7? It says, suppose that the total profit in hundreds of dollars, so this is in hundreds, from selling X items is this equation. Find the average rate of change of the profit. So what this means is if we go from selling 2 items to selling 4 items, we will increase our profit by $700 because profits in hundreds, this would be 700. So average rate of change is telling you how much it changes from those two values.
I thought, would it
7/1 is fine.
can
I
you
think my math lab will say, and I don't even think they'll take off for that. Sometimes if it's not reduced, they will say your answer's not wrong, but you need to simplify. But I don't, 7/1 should be fine.
can you hear me?
Let me check my volume. Testing.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I'm confused. Would it not be like $700 per item? Like you would increase, like, because it's slope, so it's like 700/1.
Yeah, we did divide. Yes, because we're selling 2 items. If we increase that to 4 items, wait, no.
Like,
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah, it
it
would be per
increase-
item. So when you're going from 200 or from 2 items to 4 items, profit will increase by 700 per item. Because we did divide by 2, it was 1,400, but then 2. Sorry, I forgot to add that. Thank you. But it would be per item. But that rate is only when you're going from 2 to 4. If we go from 2 to 3, it could be a different value. Any questions on that? Okay, let's see what happens from 2 to 3. We already know 2 was 4. What do we get for the Y value when we plug in 3? You're getting 9. So selling 3 items give us a profit of $900. Nine minus 4 over. So if we were selling 2 items and we decide to sell 3 items instead, we will increase our profit by $500 per item. Well, this was only an increase of 1, so it will increase by $500. Any questions on that? Or part C. It says find and interpret the instantaneous rate of change of profit with respect to the number of items produced when X is 2. This number is called marginal profit. So instantaneous rate of change, they could also say, I probably should add it here. Marginal profit. So sometimes they'll say instantaneous rate of change, sometimes they'll say marginal profit. It means the same thing. Now notice they want us to do it at 2, and then they're asking it the same thing at 4. So we will first find it at X. Now, this is the long version of the derivative, and so I'm trying to stay with simpler problems, because after your exam, you're going to learn the short version, and we won't use this again. So P of X. First thing we want to plug in is X plus H. So we have 2, and that's why I had you do a bunch of these to practice before we added limits. So this is f of X plus H. And then you want to subtract the original 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. You need to be careful here. You have to subtract the whole thing. So make sure that negative gets distributed. Any questions plugging it in? Now we need to multiply this. Remember, this is being FOILed. It's 2 times x plus h times x plus h. I'm going to leave the 2 out first, but that would be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So this squared is this, because you have to FOIL it. I'm going to distribute the negative 5. Distribute the negative. Any questions so far? I'm going to cancel. We need to distribute the 2 because more will cancel. But so there's less to write. The 5x's will cancel and the 6. Now, if you can FOIL this and distribute the 2 at the same time, that's fine. Two x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus 5h minus 2x squared all over h. And you're not done until that original h in the bottom gets canceled. When you reduce the top completely, there should only be terms with h's in them. Notice now the 2x squareds cancel. We have 3 terms on top, 1 on the bottom, and they all have an h. If you wanted, you could cancel an H out of all of them right here. So I can cancel one here. And when I cancel one here, it's gonna leave one of them. So we have 4x 2h minus 5. So the 2x squared and the negative 2x squared canceled. And then there were 4 terms left. I canceled an h from each of them. Any questions on that? So if we plug in 0 anytime before that, we're going to get 0 over 0. But now we can plug it in because this one in the denominator is gone. So the answer is 4x minus 5. Now what they use for the symbol for the derivative is a prime. So p prime of x. It tells you how it's changing at one value. Instantaneous rate of change, marginal profit. Any questions on finding that? No, part C wanted us to find it when x is 2. Just plug in a 2. And what this is saying is if you're selling 2 items, if you go one more, you'll increase profit by $300. It's telling you how it's changing at that value. So profit is still increasing. You want to keep selling. If it were negative, then profit will be decreasing and you wouldn't want to keep selling. For 16. This is saying when x is 4, we're increasing by $1,100. So if we're selling 4, the 5th item will bring in $1,100. So there's definitely an increase at this value. Any questions on that? So it's telling you how it would change if you bought one more or sold one more. Any questions on that? No questions? Okay. P of X is your total profit. So if we plugged 4 into P of X, and I think we did, we got 18. So 4 items gives us a total profit of $1,800. When we put it in here, we got 11. This one tells us that we're selling 4 items. If we go one more, we're going to make $1,100 on that item. So this is telling you how much it will change if you sell one more, or depending on what it is. This is profit, so we're selling one more. We'll make $1,100 in profit. The original tells us the total profit for those 4 items. But if we sell one more, we're going to make $1,100 more. Any questions on that? So the 5th item brings in $1,100 profit. Any questions on that? I can't remember. I think it's on the take home where I have you find profit and marginal profit, plug in the values, explain the difference between them. I know this is on the test, but I think it's on the take home. But I will know for sure on Monday. Any questions on that one? Okay, so if we look at these group, I think we're fine with the polynomials, but I wanted to do a fraction and a square root because on the take home, you'll have to do a polynomial, a fraction, and a square root. We just don't have time in a 50-minute exam, but I did put it on the take home because then after that you will know, you'll do the short version. So we have this function and it says, use the definition of the derivative to find f prime of x, then find it at -2, 0, and 3. So we want to find the limit as x, not x, but h, approaches 0. F of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Now, when we're doing this, we just plug them in. This is one, because like the polynomial, some students like to do each separately and then put them together. This is one where there's nothing really to simplify, so you just have to put them all together. X plus h, we're just putting x plus h in here. Then subtract the original function divided by h. Any questions on that? Now we have a complex fraction. To get rid of a complex fraction, you multiply all of the terms. So there's 1, 2, 3 terms by your denominators. So if we multiply x times x plus h on all 3 of them, it will simplify and you'll get rid of those little fractions. The denominator, don't multiply it out because that original h, we want that to cancel. So we're only simplifying the top. Notice the x plus h's cancel here and just leave 3x. This one, the x cancels, and then we have a -3. If there's a negative here, don't lose it. Make sure you distribute with it. So -3 times x is a -3x. -3 times h is a -3h. Any questions on that? Okay. The 3x's cancel. Now, since this is one term on top and one on the bottom, this h can cancel with this one. Now that we canceled the original h, you can plug 0 in. Any questions before I plug 0 in? If we plug it in, we have -3 over x times x plus 0. So x times x, because that's just 0, is a -3 over x squared. So this is the instantaneous rate of change for the function. Any questions on that? It wants us to find f prime at -2, 0, and 3. So you just plug it into the equation. So the first one, -3 over -2 squared. This will be 4, so it would be a -4/3, -3/4. We can't plug 0 in, and it did say. Oh, I thought it said not to use the definition driven. Fine. Oh, I knew it said it somewhere. So they want you to find it when it exists. So f of 0 doesn't exist. Because you can't divide by 0. Any questions on that? I don't mind decimals like this one, -0.75. But this one's a repeating decimal. I would prefer a fraction. But if it's a terminating decimal, I'm fine with either one. Now, if we're talking about money, you need the decimal and go 2 decimal places, but I would prefer this rather than 0.33333. Any questions on a fraction? Mm, 17. They want us to do the same thing. The limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h. Minus f of x all over h. So go ahead and plug it in. So when we plug it in, the square root of x plus h minus the square root of x all over h. Any questions on that part? Now, when you have the square roots, you want to do the conjugate. Remember, the conjugate is the same, but the opposite middle sign. Trying to find the attendance problem, but I don't see it. I'll just open it. So when you multiply by the conjugate, what's nice about that is you only have to multiply the first and the last, because outside and inside are gonna cancel. So we want to multiply by the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x on top and bottom. And again, don't multiply it out on the bottom. So this is called the conjugate. It's the exact same thing, but the opposite middle sign. When you do that, you only have to multiply the first two and the last two. Outside and inside cancel. So the square root of x plus h times the square root of x plus h is just x plus h. The square root of x times the square root of x is x. And the negative times a positive means it's a negative x. All over h times the square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. The x's cancel. So here these two canceled. And now this will cancel, but when those cancel, what am I left with in the top? Anyone? Yes, a 1. Now that this h canceled, we can plug the 0 in. The square root of x plus the square root of x is 2 square root of x. Any questions on that? Any questions on that? Grace, which day did you have a question on the attendance? So is there any questions on the derivatives? Today's, okay. I don't know what I did with my printout, but. Okay. I'm just writing the function down, f of x x squared plus 3x minus 5. Okay.
For the last problem, was the f prime of x, was it 1/2? Okay, yeah, sorry, I just didn't get to see it.
That's okay. Yeah. So for this one, we want to put x plus h into the whole function first. X plus h squared plus 3 times x plus h minus 5. And then you want to subtract the original function. Any questions on that part? Now, when you square this, remember it's x plus h times x plus h, you have to FOIL it. So you have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. That is the squared. The biggest mistakes that happen on this problem is you just go x squared plus h squared, and you're missing the middle term, so be careful of that. And distribute your 3. And minus 5. Now this part here, once you distribute this negative, all of this should cancel. That's the way the function is set up. This should all cancel or you did something wrong. Numbers in front of it. Laura, are you talking about this problem or the one before? This one, okay. So first I find f of x plus h. That's what gives me this first part. I'm just taking x plus h and plugging it in here. So instead of just x squared, it's x plus h squared. And then 3, instead of x, it's x plus h minus 5. So you're just plugging the x plus h's wherever there's an x. And then we subtract minus the original. Now to get these, you multiply everything out. So x plus h squared, that's this. This whole thing is the squared one. And then these two come from the 3x plus 3h. And this is the minus 5. So we FOIL this to get this. Distribute the 3 and bring the minus 5 down. And then we need to distribute the negative. Any questions on that part? Now, once you do that, a lot of things cancel. The x squareds cancel. Everything here. The negative 3, there's a positive 3x. plus 5, there's a minus 5. There's 1, 2, 3 terms left, and they all have H's. So we have the 2xh plus h squared plus 3h divided by h. Any questions on that? Did that answer your question, Laura? Now, once we get here, you could factor an h out of the top and then cancel. Or you can get rid of one h in every term. I like getting rid of the one h in every term because you're less likely to make a mistake. A lot of times students forget about the factoring and just cancel this h and this h. But if you always make sure to take one from every single term, I don't know, I think it works better. And it's one less step. So I'm canceling one h from each term. This was h squared, so it left 1. Two x plus h plus 3. Then you plug your 0 in for h. And this would be our derivative. Any questions on that? Okay, well, that's everything from chapter 6. So I will put the review problems up sometime, hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow morning. But my math lab is a great place to practice all the problems. There will be no new problems other than if you want to do the practice ones. Yes, we will review Monday and Wednesday, just like last time. And I will put those review problems up just like I did last time on my math lab. Any questions? Okay. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.